Hello, everyone, and welcome back to A Cup of Coffee, the show to go with your morning cup of coffee. I'm Omar, and this is my co-host Amaan.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. So, Omer, what has been on your mind this last week?
As always, food.
Yeah,
Uh,
same.
it tends, yeah, it tends to be on my mind a lot. And the way we eat food, I guess, has sort of also changed during quarantine. Don't All of us don't really go to restaurants anymore. We're
Mm-hmm.
more get takeout and making our own food at home. So, so I was just thinking about you know some of these dishes I've eaten and gotten from restaurants during quarantine. So
Mm.
my question for you is, what are some of your favorite dishes that you've tried slash restaurants that you've ordered from quarantine?
Um, in quarantine. Oof. So, I just don't associate quarantine with like good outside food. Right now, I think that probably the answer would be pretty generic. I think so. There's this one restaurant called Cheesy Sensation that's close to us. They have some pretty good pizza. They have this Alfredo pizza that was really good, and I remember that particularly because I went out with my parents. This was towards the beginning of quarantine, and so we went out for a drive, and we were like, "Yeah, we'll just take like some pizza with us," and like because we couldn't do anything, and we realized we couldn't do anything, so we were like, "I guess we'll just go out for a drive," and then we took some pizza with us and there was like alfredo sauce on the pizza with chicken
Uh,
and everything. It was really good, and we also got chicken tikka pizza, and that was really good. And then I'm trying to think what other good food I've had since quarantine started. I i don't think I've had the Infredo's swings actually, so
uh, it's been you saying it's been 7 months since you've left have
yeah,
them.
I know that's such a sad. Quarantine sucks, man. I've had a lot of junk food, which is like I like junk food, but like it's good sometimes, but you just feel like crap after it. So it's just I just don't associate a good memory with junk food ever. You know what I mean? Um,
Yeah. The only
so
times you can associate junk food with a good memories if you just watch a really good movie with it or something.
yeah, exactly. Um, So Lord of the Rings was great, but I don't remember what I was eating when I was watching Lord of the Rings. So, yeah, I guess that cheesy sensation pizza is all I can think of. Maybe something slipping my mind right now. Oh, Ricky's. Oh, how did I not even think of Ricky's? The great
Yeah,
Nashville hot chicken close to us. They have, oh my god, they're so good. Nashville hot
yeah,
chicken, and then they give you like three tenders, and then they give you the pickles and the bread and the fries and the drink for $9, which is great.
I know. It's in Richardson, and yeah, they're open what? They're not open what, Tuesdays and Wednesdays?
I honestly don't know. Every time I've gone, they were open. So
Yeah, they have kind of weird opening schedule. They have this 2 hour period in the day in between where they're not open too, but like they always have a line outside and for good reason.
yeah, yeah, I'm actually considering it. Today I got a cheat day because me and my dad are having a competition every week to see who can get more miles in. But the thing is, I'm running and he's biking, but he hasn't gotten his bike yet, so that's why I won this week.
That's
But
I feel like that's a little bit unfair.
okay, it's gonna be unfair once he gets his bike, and it's gonna suck. But yeah, once he gets that bike, then I'm gonna have to earn my cheat days, which sucks. But yeah, if he just keeps winning, then we'll have to figure out a different system. But for this week, I've got a cheat day, so I might go to Ricky's later and watch the Bears game with that food. But I mean, for now, that's the best food I can think of. What about you, though?
Uh, I think like I think it's not a food, but like a drink. 'Cause I think I got this for you after I got this after you started editing the episodes, right?
Mm,
But there's this boba place I really like called Full, and
yeah.
I hadn't been there in the longest time, and just going there and having that for the first time in so long. Like like it sort of when you go back to a place you haven't been to in a long time, you just sort of slowly get that feeling of familiarity because I hadn't been there in maybe like a year or
Yeah.
so at least, and I stepped in. I remember 75% uh sugar, 50% ice.
Nice. That's
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, they're one of my favorite boba places, and I hadn't been there in so long. So just going there and just bringing that and just drinking that on your front lawn was a good memory for me.
Yeah.
Uh, Especially because they give the cups they give are pretty tall.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, it was good boba. I remember that. I I want to go. So yeah, I was gonna mention that I remember before quarantine started, like the week that quarantine did start, actually, like we found out that it was going to start at a boba place. We found out that we weren't going to be going to school anymore, and then it was it
Oh
was
yeah,
like
it was yeah. We went like after class, right? And
yeah.
then we got like, was it a text or email or
Yeah,
something?
I think we heard from the people next to us that UTD was going to like cancel for 2 weeks, and then we checked our emails to make sure, or something, or we probably got a text in like a group chat or something where everyone was like, "Guys, classes are going to be off for 2 weeks, and then we're going to be online after that till further notice." And then we were like, "Whoa, this is going to be awesome! We're going to be off school for a couple of months." Little did we know we were still going to be here in September. Which
Yeah,
sucks.
yeah. Be careful what you wish for, kids.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
'cause it was just us, finishing our boba, and we were like, you know what, this is a great day.
Yeah.
Because
It
because
was.
like I think at this point, like both of us had like pretty swamped schedules and stuff like that, and just it was like, you know what, finally we're getting a break.
Hmm. Yeah. I. It was fun at the time, and then it just went downhill from there.
Yeah.
But
Um,
so I know you cook,
I
and so we are on the topic of quarantine. So since quarantine started, what have you cooked at home?
I've cooked a whole bunch of stuff. Like before school started up again. So my mom did this thing where each of us had to cook a meal at least once a week.
Hmm.
Uh, so I made a few things. Like I made mac and cheese in a skillet once. That was a whole bunch of fun.
Yeah, I remember you sent me those pictures. Those look
Yeah,
good.
yeah, because mac and cheese is always fun to make, and it always tastes good. You can't really screw it up.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, if you screw it up, I mean, come on, man.
Like, yeah, dude, you shouldn't cook. You should just quit there.
Yeah, just just retire.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I also made ramen once. That was a whole experience. Because like there's like a whole bunch of components you have to put together. You have to do the soup and the noodles and the whatever protein you're using, and then
Mm,
prepare the vegetables. Uh, and like the recipe also called for like those special ramen eggs, but I was like, you know what, I'm not doing that. That's
yeah.
too much. But like, yeah, it turned out really great, and it looked really nice. Homemade ramen always does.
Yeah, I can attest. It did look really nice.
Yeah. Let's see what else. I haven't made much in terms of desserts during quarantine, which is
Mm,
a pity because I actually like making desserts a lot more than regular meals.
mm. Well, lucky
Um,
for you, we've still got plenty of quarantine left to go.
yeah, I think something I've been looking at is have you seen those videos or pictures of those Japanese souffle cheesecakes?
I think you've shown me probably, or you told me about it. I don't I don't remember what it looks like though.
It looks, well, I guess it looks like it looks kind of like bread because of the
Mm,
browning on top, but like it's just jiggly and it
okay.
looks really good. So
Okay.
I'm thinking of making that next.
Okay. Well, for those of you listening to this on YouTube, here's a picture. Yeah. I can do
And
that now.
for those of you on Spotify and other platforms, I guess just Google
Yeah,
an
you
image.
just have to Google it. I apologize. It's not my fault. It's Spotify.
It's worth it. Trust me.
Yeah, but yeah.
Uh, yeah. So but yeah, that's pretty much a good summary of the things I've managed to cook in quarantine. There's a whole bunch more, but I've forgotten them.
Not bad.
uh, but I think you mentioned you did a little bit of cooking at some point in quarantine.
So yeah, I figured I'd start learning some cooking. I tried. I learned how to make lasagna and then dal chawal, and then what else did I learn how to make? Something else. Yeah, well, fruit jat. That wasn't like anything crazy. You just like cut up fruits and put sugar and like jat masala in there and like salt and pepper and like nothing. It's nothing crazy really.
Did you learn how to make cereal too?
I can make waffles too, actually, but not from scratch. The Eggo kind. Yeah,
I mean, it's pretty much just pancake batter into a waffle iron.
I know. I just need a waffle iron. But yeah, I do need to spend more time learning how to cook. Yeah, I was gonna make these quesadillas, and then that whole plan fell apart. But that was gonna be fun because then I would be able to like get the cheese and the meat, and then like the vegetables, and then like cook them up, and just it was a pretty simple recipe. I think I could have done it, but I didn't get around to it. Maybe because of this, I'll be motivated to do that. Actually, yeah, I'll put it on my to do list for the week to make
All right,
quesadillas.
all right.
Yeah,
You better send me a picture, or
yeah.
calling you out next episode.
All right. I'll take that. So yeah, I haven't done too much cooking, but I am interested in doing it because one of my dreams down the line is to have a food truck one day, and I don't want you cooking all of the food. So
Yeah, we did have plans for that before quarantine.
yep, but
We Yeah, I'll go into detail a little bit about it, but like, so the plan was that we would uh, get a food truck and drive around to debate tournaments because debate tournaments are full of hungry kids with cash in their pockets.
yeah,
Uh, and debate tournament food is not great, and it's
it's
really
not at
overpriced.
all.
It's not great. It's overpriced. And we figured with that money that they're spending on like cold pizza and Kraft mac and cheese microwavables, they could buy our food.
hmm Yeah, and they would love it.
They would love it, and we would make lots of money.
Exactly, it's a win-win, except for whoever was initially selling food to them.
Yeah. So yeah, but then all tournaments are now online. So I've yet to figure out how we can sell food to them virtually, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure out a way. Homer and Amon's delivery service.
Yeah. Watch out for it in the coming months, guys.
Yeah, we'll get started soon once I learn how to cook. We'll get there. Um, but yeah, the last thing that I want to talk about on the topic of quarantine, also to kind of leeway into our next segment, just um, on a more serious note, like all these things, cooking and I guess food as well. Like, what are things that have maintained your mental health during quarantine?
Well, I've said this a whole bunch, but like writing definitely has helped. Like I
Hmm.
talk about writing a lot on this podcast, but definitely just be just writing what I'm
Yeah.
thinking, or you know, uh, just writing short stories, snippets, just reacting to stuff I read.
Yeah.
That's helped a whole bunch. But like stuff like you know, occasionally treating yourself to stuff helps a whole bunch as well, right? Because
Hmm.
just boosts those just boost those happiness levels just a little bit, at least in the moment. So
Yeah.
sometimes you don't need a long term fix. Sometimes you need those short term fixes every once in a while to just boost you throughout your
Yeah.
day and just you know keep you productive in the stuff that helps you long term.
A break. I mean, sometimes like within a year you need it for a week, but sometimes even like within the week you'll need it for an afternoon and just, like take the afternoon off and just relax for a little bit and then get back to your usual routine, and you'll feel refreshed after taking that break and giving yourself that well-earned break. So
Yeah, exactly. Like the boba break we took on your lawn, like that was a whole
yeah,
bunch of help for my day. Like,
yeah,
uh,
that was fun.
I mean, especially because you're editing the whole
Yeah,
podcast.
I said you owe me boba, and then came over, got me some boba. It was fun, and then we just sat there and we were just talking, and like I don't even know how much time went by when we were just sitting there because we hadn't seen each other in so long. We were just sitting on my front
Yeah,
lawn. We should do that again. Yeah,
yeah, we should. I think you should do that with more people. I know because
yeah,
there's so many people I haven't seen in like since
exactly.
March.
Yeah, it would just be
Like,
nice.
I'm just like, what do you guys look like now?
Yeah, I know. A cup of boba with Umar and Amaan. It would be nice.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. But what have you been doing to maintain your mental health in
Um,
quarantine?
so I've so I'm really grateful. Alhamdulillah, thank God that I got an internship towards the beginning of quarantine. That helped a lot with my mental health, just because I had so much to do. I feel like I would have gotten bored. I was starting to get a little bored. Like, yeah, playing video games all day was great, but I just didn't feel like I was doing anything productive. So then I started to waste time, and I didn't feel like I was getting anywhere with my goals. And then I finally got an internship, and that started giving me a little bit of momentum. I started the 20-hour project, which gave me a ton of momentum because I like felt so great after doing that. I felt like I can do a lot more. And then I started working on other things because of it. But I think those two things in particular gave me a lot of help and confidence in myself, because when you're providing value to someone, like at an internship that is like you see people actually using the things that you're creating, and you feel like, wow, I'm doing something that's important for a company. And I'm also learning at the same time to increase my value, because it's all like resume buffs, and I'm trying to learn things. So it's a huge confidence boost, and it's like takes up 20 hours of my week. And like it just helps me feel productive. And then the 20-hour project, my other YouTube channel, where I would learn something over the course of 20 hours. I only have one episode out yet. I am working on episode 2, which I will not reveal the subject of. But the first episode was of drawing, and yeah, like 20 hours didn't seem like a lot, but it took me a long time, and it took me a lot of time to get through mental barriers to start drawing and pick it back up, which may have been like difficult to go through at times, because I didn't want to do it and it was challenging. But it kept me in check. It kept me like from just getting bored. It made me feel like I had something to do. And then I like um it just gave me confidence once I was able to do it. So I think it was a good cycle to go through with both of those things. And then this podcast, of course, has helped me quite a bit. Had something to look forward to. And then editing it was just learning how to edit was so much fun as well, because I did have to learn how to edit for my 20-hour project. So just everything seemed to work out, and I'm very grateful for that.
Yeah, all the pieces just sort of fell into place.
Yep, and it all started with a cup of coffee.
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah.
think
So
that's a good
yes, it's a good stopping point for us. So I'd like to introduce our next guest, Alanna, who will be here shortly, and we hope you guys enjoy her today. She's a great guest, and cue musical transition. And we're back. Here's our guest, Alanna. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Alanna. I'm a student at UTD, and I also manage an Instagram account called @LonnieBoo. So I believe that's what I'm here to talk about today. And I'm also part of a student org called Pallete Hope, and we focus on mental health art therapy, except that's a very official term, so we like to call them art events or calming events instead.
Awesome.
All right.
That sounds really cool. So we've got some.
By the way, both of those are linked in the description. Definitely do
Yes.
check them out.
Of course.
Thank you.
So we've got some very interesting subjects to talk about today. Two of my favorite things, food and mental health. Two things that are very close related sometimes. So what are some of your favorite foods? Let's just start with that.
Oh man, I had to answer this question this past week on an Instagram takeover. I had so much difficulty.
Yeah.
But my answers were dumplings, noodles and pasta, definitely, chili oil, sushi, for sure. I know these are probably really commonly called out favorite foods, but I
Have
really
you been
like them.
to Sushi Zen in Frisco?
I haven't. I guess I normally eat sushi in like the Plano to North Dallas, but not Frisco area.
Okay, Sushi Zen's really good. I would definitely recommend it. They have
Okay.
a jalapeno roll over there. I know it's not like actual sushi because it's fried, but yeah, it's really good. They have crab meat, sour cream, and jalapeno inside of it in like a fried ball, and it is so good.
All right. It sounds really Texas. Really Texas.
Yeah, it's really good though. Yeah, everything there is great, and it's all you can eat, so that's why it's one of my favorite places.
Okay, I might check out with like a college student because we're here for value too.
Yeah, yeah. On lunch, it's $12 per person, so or like 13.
For all you can eat?
Yeah, which is not bad at all.
Is it near Stonebriar Center?
Yeah, it's right by Stonebriar.
I have been there.
Oh no!
Yes, I was just like, wait, this sounds so familiar. Yeah, you have really good tempura there.
Yeah, the tempura is great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite places.
Yes.
Awesome. So
I haven't had tempura in so long. I think the last time I had it was lunch at Plano West.
Oh my god, that must not have been some great tempura. That doesn't sound.
Well, no, it wasn't from Plano West.
Oh, okay, I was like, I remember when they had tempura in high school, bro. What the heck?
If they had tempura at the West cafeteria, I wouldn't have tried it.
Yeah, no, that doesn't sound like. Yeah, their pizza's not good. Try their tempura. Okay.
Honestly, though, this speaks poorly for my food preferences. I used to be a huge fan of burgers in school. Like, I would just be like, yeah, but okay, but in terms of like actually legit good burgers, I recommend Liberty Burger. And I like their skinny fries. If y'all have tried it.
I haven't.
I have not.
That's alright.
Okay.
I do like small fries though. There's this place. Have you been to Sucre Cafe?
Sucre. I've been, but only for the drinks.
Yeah, I normally just go for the drinks, but we were playing Dungeons and Dragons there once, so I was there for a long time, and I got hungry. And they have these wasabi aioli fries, and they're like shoestring cut, and they're surprisingly really good.
Really? Is it like a dip for the wasabi aioli, or is it?
They like they don't dip it. They sort of drizzle it over.
Okay. Oh, I see. So like instead of ketchup, it'd be like that sauce.
Yeah, it's surprisingly good.
It was pretty good.
I did not expect their food to be as good as it was.
Yeah, and there's a place right next to Sucre Cafe, actually, Board Bites, that has really thin fries that taste really good, but they're not filling at all, which is a problem because like the kind of fries that just leave you wanting more.
Right, you take a bite and you're like, that wasn't enough.
Yeah, exactly. Those are a problem for me, but they're really good. Do you cook as well?
I did cook a lot more during the summer. I haven't recently. During the summer, so coronavirus happened. So then I just kind of was like, wow, I have time to cook because I started cooking during the spring semester, but then I came home because of quarantine. So yeah, it's actually really therapeutic. I was having a stressful time at one point in summer, so I just made a bunch of like not mochi balls. Have you been to Meat Fresh?
I haven't, no.
They're like little taro balls, or maybe you've tried taro balls in general. Those are therapeutic to make. You just roll them out and then you cut them into small pieces.
Okay, that
Yeah.
sounds just like rolling them out and cutting them. I've made kebabs with my mom before, which was like fun because like you just take this meat and then like you make it
Mhm.
into a patty and then you put it on the thing and it's very satisfying to do.
Definitely. Like getting that perfect size and matching them all is really nice.
I
Yeah.
think just rolling anything is just a whole bunch of fun. Like even like rolling like flatbread and stuff. Just keep the rolling pin just going.
Yeah. Exactly. And then there's rolling like actual not spring rolls or egg rolls. So like my mom makes it's gonna sound weird, spaghetti rolls, which is they're
Okay.
really good actually. So she puts like the spaghetti, like this chicken spaghetti inside the roll. And so I've helped her roll it up before and there's like a technique to doing it, but once you get good at it, that's also incredibly satisfying to make.
What is the wrapper for that?
I don't know. Like you fry it. I know that much. I have no idea what it's made of. I
So, oh, but it's not like an egg roll. Like,
It's the
the,
same texture as an egg roll.
oh,
Yeah,
interesting. Yes, I would be down to try. I mean, hey,
dude. Yeah, I'll tell my mom.
yeah, send to me,
Yeah,
please.
and then we can all have rolls out in my front lawn, just like Omer and I had boba there.
That
Shoot.
sounds awesome.
Yeah, and then we'll record the part 2 of this episode actually.
Yeah, we can do like a mukbang and then like rate food and like drink boba.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
A whole new adventure.
Stay tuned for part 2, guys.
Yeah. So, during quarantine, so you said that like cooking was therapeutic for you.
Mhm.
But what good food have you, and Omer and I talked about this, what good food have you eaten since quarantine started?
It's
What's
last
your
restaurants you've been a huge fan of.
Yeah.
so like home cooking or restaurants was that?
Mm,
I mean, both. Just stuff
yeah.
you've eaten during quarantine.
My main thing has been outside food would be sushi. So I order from this place called Sushi Sakana on, I believe, Alma and Parker. And so they have
I
like
write this down.
for lunch they have a two regular rolls for $10 instead of like I guess about 12 to $15. And so my brother's a huge fan of those. But other than that, I've been kind of disappointed by outside food. I
Yeah.
don't know. It's because I started cooking and I was like, I feel like if I found a recipe, it could be better. And I
They're
don't
just not up
know.
to standard anymore.
Yeah, once you start cooking, you're like,
Hmm.
man, I really could like make this at home for cheaper.
Yeah, I guess that's it. But I mean, I assume you're a pretty good cook then, because I have not yet been turned off by outside food. But
Not, my family cannot attest that I'm a really amazing cook. I think because we have such different but particular palates, our food preferences don't align. My
okay.
brother isn't like a huge meat fan, but I like eating meat, and so
Hmm.
I gotta work around. I had to work around their diets before, so.
Okay. It's the same thing with me and my mom. She'll like if we have meat for a couple of days straight, then she'll be like, I'm sick of it. I don't want to do it. And I'm like, more. I need more.
Yeah, my mom does that. My mom's on a diet as well, so she sort of she doesn't eat like rice or bread and stuff. I think it's keto, and also like she likes to do like one vegetarian day a week, which I mean is good for you, but I'm just like,
Yeah, I know. It's like, yeah, is it worth it? Like you might have had fun, but are you happy though? Like you might be healthy, but is it worth it?
I mean, I say just enjoy yourself,
Yeah.
enjoy it.
I think it's good to just have a balance. I think like the best thing to do is like that half diet thing where like yeah, you're watching what you eat, but like if my friends are like you want to go out and get some good food, then I'll go out and get some good food, you know?
For real. I know. I feel so sad when I see my friend on a diet and we're like at Korean barbecue and she's just like, let me not eat rice and let me limit like the amount of meat I eat, even though it's all
Yeah.
you.
And then yeah, like I'm just sitting there with my food. Usually I'm the one that ends up dieting though, so my friends hate it. And then
Mhm.
because my brother's wedding was last summer, and then so like for the year before that, pretty much I was on like a relatively strict diet, especially like the months leading up to it. And so my friends would always go out, and I would be like, I'm either not coming or I'm not eating something there, and I was pretty strict about it, and so like it would suck. But that means after my brother's wedding, I was like, I can finally eat. And I would just like go out everywhere with my friends and
Mhm.
eat and stuff. And it was really fun, but it made it really hard to diet. But at least I had a good time, right?
For sure. Are you still on that diet now?
I started about a week ago. So,
Mhm.
yeah, it's not super strict. I have a cheat day today,
Nice.
which I did mention.
Perfect.
So yeah, it should be fun. Yeah, this one's not as strict as I generally do. So we'll see what happens. And I am planning on making quesadillas this week. It should be
A
fun. Yeah.
nice. What kind of mix of cheese do you add to it?
I I really just use like the four cheese Mexican stuff that you get in like the Sargento bag. Nothing too complicated. I'll probably put like bell peppers in there, and I don't know if I'm gonna use chicken or beef yet because there's these really good beef ones that I can make. So we'll
Mm,
see what ends up happening. If I do, then I will make sure to mention in the next podcast and show a picture.
yes, please. I'll check it out.
Of course. Yeah. I'm not a huge I'm not like a cook. I've made like only things with my mom, so that means I haven't really made anything by myself. So yeah, you and Omar are the specialists here. I've seen things that Omar made, and oh my goodness, man, it looks so good. Just I
I
want to
mean,
know
really,
how to make ramen.
ramen.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't tried that. I've heard like big things about it. Like it takes a whole day, and I'm just like,
Yeah,
dang.
it was a whole process because there's so many different components to it. You got the soup, the noodles, the protein, the vegetable,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and then if you want to do the ramen egg, I was like, you know what? This is a lot of work already. I'm not doing the ramen egg.
Yeah.
That
Def-
extra stuff.
hmm
Actually, there's someone who's our age, and I was in the same freshman dorms with him, and he was a huge cook before me, and like way before me. And he said that he wanted to do ramen during spring break. And I asked him like what recipe he was following. And then he just said, "Oh, I'm combining. I'm like making my own recipe and that's what I do." So he was making like a Texan version ramen that used brisket, and I was like, "That's impressive."
Dude, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
What? What a
Yeah,
legend. Just making his own rules and putting brisket into ramen. That sounds
Mhm.
awesome.
Right?
yeah, I sort of did that as well. I didn't use brisket because I don't have any access to any brisket. But like, yeah, I just sort of combined stuff from different recipes, which I
Mhm.
think pretty much, I think that's the way to go with ramen. Just
For sure.
pick out stuff you like and put it together. Like I used one recipe for the spinach for it, and then I made this. I got some chicken thighs and made teriyaki chicken with them.
Wow.
Nice.
That
Very
sounds
nice.
good. Dude.
Are
Yeah,
y'all into rich broth or light broth then?
I did a lighter broth because I was like, if I do a richer one, that's more time and effort.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Again,
I
I
was
don't
like,
know too much about this, so I don't know. But
it was already an all day endeavor, so I'm just like, I don't know how those chefs who do it all day do it because I
Mhm.
could not do this every day.
I mean, I used to work in a ramen shop in high school,
oh wow.
and they would be there for I think they would prep like the night before, and then they'd come back in the evening to work on that broth and chashu, like the sliced pork belly.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lengthy process for sure.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they're a lot more efficient than I am. I'm kind of a slow cook.
No, no, no. I think we're all like that. Like when a recipe calls for 30 minutes, it takes like an hour the first time round. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'd imagine. And see, like, I don't know how my mom does it so well so often because
Mhm.
and when she was teaching me, she was like it was hard for her to teach me because she wouldn't be able to give me like amounts of things that would go in. She's like, like
Mhm.
I just like I just have an idea of how much goes in, and I'm like it's just in my head. And she's like, I make it different every time. I'm like, what do you mean you make it different every time? Like,
Mhm.
how does this work? How could you just make it differently? She's like, I don't know. I think I'm gonna put in like just spice this time. And I'm like, what is that, like, not is that not supposed to go in, or are we doing something wrong? She's like, no, I just feel like it. I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
I feel that my mom's the exact same. She was like, "Oh, just throw a spoon in and just like a pinch of like this," but no, add like 5 pinches in reality. And I was
Yeah.
like, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I know. Like my mom was like, "All right, like put it in your hand, and then like if it looks like it's enough, then just put it in." And I'm like, "What do you mean looks like? I don't know what looks like enough."
It's like I've never made this before. What do you mean it looks like?
Yeah, this is my first time cooking, but it definitely helps you learn. Because if you're
Mhm.
just following like a recipe that says like put in like this many tablespoons of salt, then like you'll put in exactly that amount, and then you'll always look at the recipe. But then like when you want to do things like that guy was doing with the ramen and the brisket, to be able
Mhm.
to do things like that, you got to have an idea in your head of how much like of certain flavors you want to have in what you're cooking. So
Sure.
pretty interesting.
That
I
Like
was
they
a
all
good deal.
perform some secret ritual, or they get possessed by the spirit of cooking or something.
Yeah, they're on another level, but they've been doing it for a while. So
That
yeah.
I see you got the Dunkin' Donut coffee that you
yeah,
mentioned.
yeah, yeah. Uh,
Nice.
apparently they're giving it for free. Read that in a couple articles, but I went there this morning and they were like, "What are you talking about?" So either that Dunkin' Donuts wasn't doing it, or the person there, you know, didn't know. They didn't tell the person who was working that shift because they're like, "I
Mm.
have no idea what you're talking about."
Oh man,
I
did
was
you go to
like,
one on Independence and like close to
yeah,
Legacy? Okay, good, because I didn't wake up in time to go to that one to get the the coffee, so I just didn't end up going. Well, I guess it works out in the end.
I was like, "Yay! I finally don't have to root for the Cowboys to win every time I want free coffee."
Yeah,
But
before they would
I was,
only do it if the
I was
Cowboys won, and I was like, no, I don't want, I won't get this coffee because I do not like the Cowboys. But now that they're giving it every week, I might as well get some.
Get some free coffee.
Indeed. Yeah. Do you have a coffee machine at home?
I do not. My family doesn't really drink a lot of caffeine, actually.
Oh,
I
really?
just bought some green tea bags for whenever I need it. That's about
Okay.
it.
That's cool. Yeah, I have a problem. I'm drinking coffee as we speak. And I also have another problem that I won't mention. But yeah, I need to stop with the caffeine. But then like some nights I'm just like, no, I need it. I needed to study. I needed to stay up tonight just for
Mhm.
a night. And then it's bad, but I have a good time.
Hey,
yeah,
wait, so it sounds like you have a coffee machine then.
I do have a coffee. So does Omar, and it's totally worth the investment. It's just because my dad from work gets gift cards and stuff sometimes. Like, just they'll like give him rewards over time. So he had $100 Amazon gift card, and we were like, we need a coffee machine. So we ended up getting
Mhm.
one of those, and it was such a good investment. I mean, we use it like literally every day, and it's some really good coffee because it makes it from scratch with the beans. We get like a better one just because we had the gift card. Um, and so you like put the beans in and it grinds the coffee, and I love it personally.
Which brand did you buy? I actually bought one for my boyfriend this past summer, so I did like intense research about like
Mm.
coffee machines. Except they're really expensive. They can go up to like over $1,000, and I was like, yeah, I'm not
Those
for
ones
that much.
I don't think are worth it. Keurig is always a safe one to go with,
Mhm.
because yeah, I like my brother has one in Chicago, and I know that one's really good. So yeah, Keurig's just a safe brand. It was also at the place that I worked before, and then I think like Mc, I don't know how to say it, like McCafe, like I don't Mc,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
McCafe, whatever it is, but that one's really good. I think from what I've seen. But yeah, it's usually not. I don't think it's that complicated. Like I feel like there's so many brands that it like seems complicated. I think this is an interesting concept too. There was I'm like tangenting off into something completely different, but there was this one study where people were given like a bunch of different kinds of jam to select from, and there was so like one group was given like 28 and the other group was given 6, right? And the side with 28 was like, oh my god, I have so many jams to choose from, this is great, right? But then the side with 6 was like, okay, like this isn't as much, but they were more likely to actually end up choosing one in the time that they were given. So I feel like that's the case with coffee machines, where there's just so many like different brands, and there's so much. It feels like there's so much research to do. But I guess if you pick one, it's how bad could it possibly be?
For sure. But yeah, I definitely agree.
If coffee machine's $1,000, it better come with a lifetime supply of coffee.
Yeah, $1,000 for a coffee machine. I don't think that's ever gonna be worth it. Even if you have the money, I don't like.
Like
What would you get with that? Like,
I guess I don't know, like the quality of, so at least for Amazon, I can't speak for any other platform. I read up like one coffee machine, it had plastic on it, so the steaming one, like the heat from it would melt the plastic, so then a lot of customers were clearly unhappy, or they felt the foam wasn't consistent enough to like the level that they want, so then they wanted a more expensive model to, really get that novelty flavor and texture. I don't know.
yeah,
Maybe I'll find
I,
out.
I guess coffee connoisseurs have their own thing with it. I
yeah.
guess.
If you're like really, really into coffee, then I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, mine comes with a little frothing thing that I use to make whipped coffee, so that's nice.
That's awesome. Yeah. But enough about coffee. We have, I think we're like halfway through this segment, so I really want to get talking about mental health. And I think one like question that I'm really curious to ask you, because I assume that you like are very passionate about this subject, is what's something that people generally don't understand when it comes to mental health?
Hmm. Um, I guess there are two things. So at least I can only speak in the Asian American community
Hmm.
for this. The first point is that mental health is, as most people are aware, has a stigma to it. So it sounds like there's something wrong with you as fundamentally as a person.
Hmm.
You're not able to act normal, I suppose is the best way. Um, and I guess because of that stigma, a lot of people aren't as willing to reach out for help, especially through therapy or just even talking with a friend. And I know there's also being a male, it makes it even harder because I'm aware that men aren't able to communicate their emotions. You're supposed to be able to toughen up and handle it.
Hmm.
One of the most common phrases I've heard is just get through it. Like, oh, it's only temporary. And that's not entirely wrong, but in that moment, it's really unhelpful because
Hmm.
people can feel like that's their whole world. But that comes to my second point is that it's only like a part of who you are. It doesn't necessarily define you. Like, I don't identify as I'm an anxious person. I just say I'm a person with anxiety and it comes sometimes, but it's
Yeah.
not like there all the time. It's just a
Right.
part of who I am.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great way to look at things. I've heard that perspective a lot where, like don't make it who you are. Even if it's something that you're incredibly passionate about, like no matter what it is in your life, it's not you. You are comprised of a lot of different things, right? So you have to remember that when taking into account your mental condition. And personally, I have gotten anxiety quite a bit. I'm grateful that I don't deal with it as much anymore. But when it did get really bad, it just felt like no one really had an answer, and
Mm-hmm.
that's because you don't like sometimes you feel like you want someone to give you an answer, but that's not like what you're actually looking for. You just need someone to listen. And that's another huge thing that like people don't understand. Like when someone has a problem, when someone comes up, like you don't give them solutions when they're telling you their problems, because I assume like they either tried it or that's not what someone wants to hear. Like maybe you could give like helpful suggestions, but in that moment it's really important to listen.
I agree. There's something that my friend told me. So he's not a fan of like the coined expression of like, oh, let me know, or like it was something very general, like cookie cutter, and it was like, oh, let me know if I can help, or like, what, like, oh, is there anything that I can do? There's like at some point when someone uses a phrase too often, it feels like a pattern rather
Yeah.
than sincere, I
It
guess.
feels like it feels like I guess it feels like something they're just saying
Yeah.
that doesn't really mean much.
So to vary it up, it's more like ask specific things like, oh, would you like to talk about it? Or do you need help finding a way to figure this out? Or we can just sit here and like chill and watch YouTube theme videos or something. Like,
Yeah.
people have
It's
different ways of coping. And so,
yeah, and you have to understand like what like what would help someone in that particular situation. So
mhm.
yeah, you can let them talk to you about it, and then like sometimes it's best to admit like I can't completely understand what you're going through, but it doesn't like it doesn't sound fun. I can try to understand if you want to talk to me about it, and that's something that's incredibly important for anyone going through any, no matter what level of anxiety or sadness that you're dealing with. It's always nice to just have someone there that's willing to stick it out with you.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely don't recommend anyone being alone because that's a vicious cycle. Once you're alone, you think like you'll always be alone and no one will be there for you. Even though in reality, most times friends and or family are actually willing to support you.
Hmm.
They just aren't aware of your conditions or when it happens.
Yeah.
But I definitely agree that being anxious, it's very difficult to reach out to people because you also don't want to burden them. Like you feel like a burden, I guess, in
Hmm.
my opinion.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah.
You're just like, it's like you don't want to bother anyone. You're just like they have their own stuff to
Hmm.
deal with. You're just like a lot of the time you're the one telling yourself that this is just temporary. You'll get over it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, like I'll be fine in the morning. I don't need to talk to anyone about it. But that means that because you're not helping yourself through it right now, you may end up dealing with it again in a couple of days or a week or whenever the next, time that you're down is. And so it's best to just talk it out as soon as you get that feeling.
Hmm. I'd also, I guess, kind of like to plug in the Student Counseling Center for UTD. I mean, I think I've heard that every university has a counseling
Mhm.
center. So
Like,
I've heard conflicting things, but at times they give you the right resources to find what you're looking for.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really good.
Hmm.
I definitely, so another question that I have, um, so I don't mean to like I don't want this to come off as that I don't like trust the system or anything, but I'm genuinely curious, like how much um does therapy help, and like how could the process be improved, and like
Hmm.
if someone's down, like should they look to therapy as an I've heard that it's like a really really good option from some people, and then I've heard from some people that it just didn't help at all. So does it just depend on where they go? I mean, how do you get the most value out of going to therapy, I guess, is a good question.
So I guess that was a multi-answerable
Yeah.
question. I guess
I
I'm making
phrased
it.
it. I phrased it. Kind of. I just kind of like went with my own thoughts there. But yeah, just what's your opinion on therapy?
Sure. Well, I can address all of those different
Okay.
parts. My personal experience is that I actually attended and am kind of currently attending cognitive behavioral therapy. So CBT is mainly helping you adjust the way that you think and process things
Hmm.
and how you view things. So, for example, if I come across a situation where I guess I'm feeling anxious because there's a lot of uncertainty and that's building up. One technique would be to that I was taught by my therapist was to figure out what am I actually wondering about? Why am I actually anxious? And then to quantify what is the possibility of this actually happening in a percentage. So like is it likely that my I don't know, coffee will spill on my homework and my homework won't be able to turn in online? Okay. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have like 75% like anxiety, but in reality, that's very unlikely because I don't have coffee near me So
Yeah.
that's like a 1% chance. So what I'm trying to say is I personally like therapy, but the only way it works is if you actively apply yourself to what you're learning. The only problem is that sometimes there were times where I'd go in and I viewed it more as like a talking session rather than a learning lesson.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess a lot of people might see therapists as just someone you talk to, like a confidant, and then like you leave the session.
Mm-hmm.
And they can be that if you want that. But to overall improve your mental health, I think you have specific to CBT, your therapist should give you resources on how to improve your mental health and cope with things, and you have to practice those in real life. And also exposure therapy, like being in scenarios where you're very uncomfortable, you have to get used to those.
Mm-hmm.
So, in that sense, I think therapy is good. But on the other hand, my friend tried therapy once and he realized it wasn't for him. Like, he didn't like I guess the one-on-one talking and like sharing those kind of
Yeah.
problems with someone new, a total stranger. And so he actually reconnected more with his family. And he's doing really well. I think for him, family was his like roots. It really helped
Mm-hmm.
him improve his mental health. And some people that's friends. So I guess it's a mix of like knowing if therapy works for you, one, and then like applying that therapy actively. That was a really long-winded answer.
No, I
It's a good
that's
one.
yeah.
Right.
Given the question that I gave you, that was a really great answer, and I appreciate that because it clarified a lot of things about therapy, and I hope that anyone listening to this can gain something from that if you're
Yeah.
dealing
So
with anything and need therapy.
yeah, and speaking of applying therapy in your would you learn therapy in real life? Uh, so I understand that you're part of an organization that sort of uses art as therapy.
Yeah.
I've talked about how my personal art writing has been very therapeutic for me over quarantine especially. So why don't we talk about that a little bit?
Sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I was just going to ask, like, how do you, what's the process that you guys use to help someone with art through therapy? That's super interesting.
Oh, yeah. Um, wow. So one thing we do is interactive art displays when we were back on campus. So unfortunately, we never got to do one during my time as a member and officer because the coronavirus happened.
Mm-hmm.
Um, But one interactive art event that we also did was making slime. That was
Oh,
happening freshman year. So we'd supply basically anything, resources for students to come, and they can just pause and take part of our event. Another one we did was flower pots. So we actually gave people flower seeds and then a mini pot which they could paint at our event. So we like to really do hands-on things, typically not like 2D painting. Um, Too often unless we have like a sit down area. Sorry, this is a really like I'm going like everywhere.
no,
That's fine.
it's really awesome actually. Just go everywhere that you need to.
Cool. Well, last semester we did a Boba Ross painting event. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but
Oh, I
Wow.
think I did. I think I was busy that time, so I never got to attend.
oh, it's great. Well, maybe like next year we'll have it again. I'll plan it out and you
Awesome.
can come.
Yeah, I want
But
to come to this. This sounds awesome.
yeah. Well, at this event, we made boba and then we sold that for a fundraiser. And then we also played a Bob Ross video, which we provided like little canvases and they could just follow along or paint whatever they wanted. So we're a very hands-on event. We don't, like art is like using your hands
Yeah.
and typically. And so we just want people to feel comfortable with expressing their own ideas. And we also have been trying to collaborate with actual art therapists. We're still in the making of creating a virtual event, but details will come out eventually.
I
Awesome.
can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, and through the links in the description, you viewers as well can find out about this. It's I
Mhm.
just think that's such an amazing concept. It's incredible what you guys are doing, and it's just so cool to see that you're taking a different stance at it because you could just be like telling people how to deal with things, but people have heard a lot of the answers. Sometimes it's best to just take action and do things, and everyone copes differently. So art is it's just such an incredible way. It's therapeutic, like you guys said, and I think that's incredible, truly.
Yeah. So maybe on a more personal level, like what's a form of art that you personally use to express yourself? I guess.
Sure. Well, I didn't realize this, I guess, for a long time, but I really like 3D art, not specific to clay though. Clay for me is really frustrating to make. I prefer, one thing I did was metal wires. So my freshman
Oh,
year
I
in my
love
group,
those.
oh, what kind of metal wires do you look at? Just as a quick question. Is it like
I just love seeing them whenever they pop up on either my
real?
timeline or someone, or like I think they had some at Plano. It had some displays at Plano West with them
Mhm.
at some point. So yeah, I just think they're really cool. They're just they're just, I just like how they're put together and solid, but also a little bit chaotic, and I like that.
That's awesome.
For real. Yeah, actually, sorry, I asked Umar a question. But I made like ASL hands because I was learning ASL with my roommate
Oh
freshman year.
wow.
So then I would create like outlines of the hands, and then I'd mount them on a canvas and paint the background. So I'm really into like using my hands to see like how things look all around, like 360. That's just the kind of medium I do.
That's really cool. Wow.
Thank
What an
you.
interesting. Yeah, we have so many interesting guests. I just this is so awesome. Like ASL, and then metal wires, art therapy, cooking, food. I mean, wow. This is what an incredible episode. I'm learning so much.
Yeah, and we just met each other just now,
I
so
know. It's awesome to meet people through a podcast. Just
mhm.
what a great medium. I always love what we do, Omar.
Thank you. And just a question about like how you find inspiration for art. Is it more reactive, like you see something, you're just like and do something based on that, or do you just think about it for a while and idea comes?
Hmm, that's a really good question. I guess it's more like in the moment, I'll just be like, oh, then an idea just pops up, and I'm like, oh, this would be cool to make. Like, and then I might just write it down, or I just get to it. I go out, buy supplies, and I'm just like, let's just start it. Even though it'll take a long time to go through, like to complete. I think that's why I picked up cooking as well, because cooking in itself is like an art form, like being able to present something and also just create it, watch it come into fruition for the end goal.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Hmm.
And one question that I have, that I personally struggle with this, and I know that a lot of people do as well. So, what tips do you have for people to build self confidence? Because I know that's very key in feeling happier within yourself and being at peace. Is just being confident, but also achieving your goals, which is something that we talk about a lot. So I think confidence is just super important for everyone to have, and for some reason, it's very difficult for a lot of people to get there. So, what are some tips you have to build confidence?
Sure. I guess for one, surround yourself with people who feel confident in you. I guess when you feel that support from other people and that trust and just seeing their expressions like, oh, I believe in you, I think that's helped me a lot. Like, rather than beating myself down with things I feel disappointed in that I've done or characteristics of my personality, I guess. I like seeing people appreciate those qualities of mine and saying like, hey, it's actually not that bad, maybe I can look at it from a different perspective. And well, another thing is, I guess, I know it's also not based off of how other people view you, it's ultimately how you view yourself. And so I try to find things that I appreciate about myself in like whether it's in the mirror or if like I do something and I'm like, oh, hey, like, I'm not actually a bad person. Or not that I think that I am, but it's just recognizing moments when those qualities that you are maybe insecure about are actually like positive, can
Yeah.
be positive, and also forgiving yourself it's, I know that's really like common to say, but really
Yeah.
forgiving yourself for things that happen or just are.
Yeah, that's very
Yeah.
important. I think. Yeah, those are some
Yeah.
great tips. I think personally, yeah, what's helped me, and we talked about this before in the first segment, where what helped me was like looking at the things that I was doing and telling myself that like yeah, I'm actually learning and growing. And I think on what you said, sometimes you have qualities that you're insecure about that you can
Mhm.
actually look at as a positive. And one thing for me that I think a lot of people struggle with is they don't feel like they're able to do a lot of interesting or different things. They haven't learned much and they don't have a lot of skills,
Mhm.
which is why like I have at times felt very insecure because I just didn't feel like I could do things.
Mhm.
So I started this 20-hour project where I would now learn how to do a lot of different things, and it's essentially where I spent 20 hours learning a new skill, and that to me was super important, and it helped me cope with that because like yeah, I don't know how to do a lot of things, but that means there's so much for me to learn and there's so much for
Mhm.
me to do that something like this could actually turn into a really awesome project. So to put a positive spin on that, it helped me build a lot of confidence. And yeah, personally, yeah, I definitely think what you said is 100% true because I am going through that right now, and a lot of people struggle with that. So if
Mhm.
there is anyone out there that needs help building their confidence, then just believe in yourself and try something new that faces those insecurities, those qualities you have. I think facing your fears is also something that's incredibly important. Um, Alana, this is a have you seen Yes Theory before, the YouTube channel?
No, I haven't.
Oh man, their whole thing is to seek discomfort and face your fears, and so they've been incredibly inspirational to me.
Mhm.
So yeah, I think that's just incredibly important is to just like put yourself in those uncomfortable situations. You talked about doing that in therapy as well, and I
Mhm.
think that is super important. Like before every podcast, I take a cold shower because I like it's
Mhm.
so hard for me to do that, and I literally woke up like 10 minutes before we started, and I
Mhm.
just like Omer called me because I wasn't awake, and I
Mhm.
like
The
I
other,
got
the other reason he needs a cold shower because he wakes up 10 minutes before me.
yeah. So if it doesn't seem like I woke up 10 minutes before, it's because I just took a cold shower and it woke me up. So yeah, uncomfortable things like that. I think cold showers,
Mhm.
meditation, things like that aren't necessarily comfortable are really important to go through to build confidence and just self improvement. Uh, Comes through those
Yeah,
things.
I think one more thing is just because I played this game recently called Persona 4, and it's just been really inspiring for me just because it's just its storytelling and its themes are so good, but like a whole big part of it is they go into this shadow world and they face this shadow version of themselves, and it sort of attacks them because they keep rejecting it and not accepting that these negative traits are like a part of themselves, right?
Mhm.
Uh, and It doesn't become a strength for them until after they accept that to some degree it's part of you as well. Like just accept that your flaws are when you accept that your flaws are a part of you as much as all the good stuff is, I think they're that's a big way of making them your strength, just accepting that part of yourself.
That's
um
yeah, that's a
Mhm.
really cool way to look at
it
it.
just, it just had a because like they did it through like a monstrous version of yourself that becomes your like
Mhm.
ally that you can use to fight monsters with, right? But
Wow.
like the theme behind it was that but like but the theme behind it was just taking those negative parts of yourself and just accepting it so that when you do things, you know that it's a part of you and you can use that to help motivate yourself. And this is a callback to like our last episode, but like um you don't you just don't realize a lot of the times what you can do with what you currently have, because a lot of people think I don't have the supplies, I haven't built the skills up yet, but like
Mhm.
just a lot of times just people just need to try and go for it, and they'll often surprise themselves with how much they can do with what little they have.
Yeah, definitely important.
Mhm.
So, Alanna, before we go, is there anything you would like to tell the world? Because we've already asked, usually we ask for parting advice, but you've already given us so much great stuff. And this was a great learning experience for myself, and I assume for Omar as well. So I did have a great time.
Definitely.
But is there anything that you want to say about like something that you're doing that can help people about your project, or just anything at all? Any parting words from you?
Sure. I guess my last piece of advice in general would be to be vulnerable with other people, because I'm sure, like, even though I know I mentioned this earlier, that it may seem like you're a burden to other people by sharing your problems, but I truly think that people are there to support you, because you shouldn't have to go through that alone. And things may surprise you, and to just be open minded and be comfortable with, like you said, discomfort.
Yeah.
Be okay with discomfort for sure.
Awesome.
All right.
Well,
Well, thank you so much for joining us today, and be sure to check out all of Alana's stuff in the description. We've got links there, and be sure to email us at acupofcoffeepod@gmail.com, or follow us on Instagram and Twitter at acupofcoffeepod. Thank you so much again for being with us today, and we'll see you all next week or whenever the next episode comes out.
yeah.
Cue outro.